Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A few days ago, in the social media, some photos of young youth who were dressed almost in a naked manner went viral. And everybody was so disturbed by these photos that a hashtag was realized with the label Ifikie Wazazi. Tonight with us to discuss the new phenomenon and the new happening that has come up as a result of hashtag Ifikie Wazazi, we are privileged to be hosting Sister Riziki Ahmed, who is a psychologist, a teacher, and a mother. Sister Riziki, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Very unfortunate, but today we are faced with a situation whereby our youth went out, took photos of themselves, dressed very skimpily, without any shame in them, and posted them online. These photos went viral. A few of the people celebrated. Others were very much disturbed because it pointed to something that was pretty wrong with our society. What got us here? What is happening?
I think what we saw is a reflection of the society at the moment. Maybe these things have been happening behind the scenes, they were just brought forward. So it means this has been happening and it's reflecting the rot that we currently have in the society. So that is where we are at, and that is what we need to address. Like, why are we there? And now that it has come out in the limelight, where do we go from there? But it is obvious that we are now having a very rotten society. So they just reflected the society.
Maybe I need to ask at this point, can we stop this rot, or is it downhill all the way from where we are at the moment?
We psychologists say behavior learned can be unlearned. So what is there is that maybe this behavior has been learned. So can we now teach them to unlearn that behavior? And it will only come from the grown-ups. So what they are doing is actually what maybe we the grown-ups have been doing. So they're just aping us now in their own style. And because they are less mature, they go a notch higher. So it's just what the grown-ups are doing. If you go to the clubs or you see what happens, it's exactly the same thing, only now maybe in a secluded place. So they just went a notch higher to do what we the grown-ups are doing.
Well, as a society, we understand that most of these things have always been there. They have been happening and all that. But now we have a new phenomena in the name of social media.
Yes.
Have we been overcome by social media? Is social media now dictating our lives? Because maybe we need to start there, understand social media, and then maybe now we are able to understand our children and why they are doing what they are doing.
When you look at social media, or when you look at anybody with a phone, I always say when you look at parents, they are all on their phones. If they're not on WhatsApp, they are doing something on their Facebook. And the kids are watching. So what are they doing? They're aping us. So social media is like here for everybody, for the grown-ups, for the kids. And in fact, some of the biggest challenges we are having, like now when people come for counseling, is you'll find women are complaining their husbands are always chatting on social media with other women. So if that is already happening, like men are chatting, flirting, everything is happening. So are the youth copying from us? Definitely. Then they take it a notch higher. So they know social media is for doing everything that you want to do when you're hiding and doing all the things that you're not doing in public.
Wow. Well, you have said that the men are chatting at home and all that, but we do understand that most of the time the males are the absent parent in their homes. So definitely this phenomenon, we will attribute it to the women, because if you're saying that the children pick it up from the parents, then it means it is the women who are chatting in their homes. What would the women be doing in those chat rooms?
These chat rooms nowadays, like, I'll not say it's the women only. If the man is in the house and he's on the phone, he's busy flirting and chatting, what will the woman also start doing? Maybe doing the same. And the children do get to pick their phones once in a while. And when they get to pick their phones, they'll see those chats. So what will this child think? It is okay to do this. If my father is doing it, my mother maybe is also doing it, why not I? And then they'll tell you it's innocent because there's nothing beyond this flirt. I'm not going to look for that person. I'm just in a chat room and just flirting. So these children, what will they do? They'll want to do more than us what we are doing. They're not as mature as us. Maybe somebody will say, I'll flirt and leave it there. Will the child flirt and leave it there? No. They'll flirt and go a step ahead. So it's not about fathers being so absent. They are maybe in the house, but absent in the form of they are on their iPad or they are on their phones. The mother will be present, but also halfway present. So I would say our parenting is also in a lot of dire need of improvement.
Well, before we all get to engage into social media, it involves having the tools that will make it possible for us to engage.
Yes.
That means having a smartphone, which is not cheap, and also having internet bundles so that you're able to access the network.
Yes.
Is it that we are very rich, or why is it that we are able to afford all this, but when it comes to basic needs, we are still struggling?
You see, this is something that gives us a high. It's instant gratification. That is what we call it. So instant gratification, instant coffee. So this one is something instant. The minute I just go online, I can chat and do what is something instant. So I'll get instant gratification. So if I'm getting instant gratification, what do I want? I'll spend whatever I have to get that gratification. And then the let's say like Safaricom, Airtel, they come up with cheap bundles, especially that are aimed at the youth. Like you'll see, and most of them are at night. Like you'll be told 1 GB for maybe something like 69 shillings for 1 hour. So 69 shillings, which kid cannot afford 69? So they'll look for the 69 and have a 1 hour on social media. So where they go on that social media, most parents will have no idea. So it's like, it's something easy to access. Now social media and bundles, they are no longer an issue. It's very easy to access. Any child, even a primary school kid, can afford to buy bundles now.
What about the expensive smartphones? Are we buying our children all these expensive gadgets because there's something that we are trying to catch up with, or is it that we are guilty of something and now we are rewarding them blindly with these items?
Of course, it's a reward system in that we are very busy. We are all running after our careers. We are very absent, and we will have an excuse of, I want to be in touch with my child even when I'm not in the house. I want to be able to call them and video call, talk to them, see how they are doing. So we'll give ourselves all the excuses to give them these phones. But is that actually what they'll be doing with the phone? Do we just video call and talk to them? No. We leave the phones to them. We don't track where they go online. We don't track what they do online. And most of the time we'll say they are teenagers or they are already in the university. They can do as they please. Bora asinilete mimba.
According to you, as a parent, what is the right age for any kid to receive a phone as a tool that they can use in their day-to-day lives? Or is there a necessity or no?
I would say there is no right age if your child knows that it is just a tool. Have you taught your child what that phone is for? Where not to go? What have you put in place? Have you covered sites they cannot go? So it's about like, what have you taught your child about this tool? Even if the child is maybe 8 years, but they know I'll only receive a call from mommy and speak to her. After that, I can put it away. That's okay. But the thing is, have we put in some discipline with that phone before we give them? That's the most important thing. And have we taught them the use of that phone? Why are you having this phone? And which sites can you access? Have we discussed that children can even get harassed on the social media? Some commit suicide because of being harassed on social media. So what have we put in before we give the phone? That's what I would say would be more important even than the age.
Well, as Africans, if I may say that, we've always prided ourselves in our cultures, that we've had certain cultures which were working very well. Now here we have a new threat in the name of social media that is creeping in as a culture by itself. How do we get to balance these two cultures, or how do we get to handle the competing nature of the two cultures?
By being ourselves. I remember one time I visited a lady, she's a Muzungu, she's a psychologist. And I got asking her, how do you manage your teenagers with the phones and everything? And she told me, like, for her, every evening she asks her children to put their laptops and the phones outside their bedroom door. They don't sleep with them. You leave them outside the bedroom door. She says, I'm not touching them, but you're not sleeping with them. Ikifika saa ya kulala, go sleep, leave the phones out, leave your laptop out. And she told me, when you're having dinner, nobody touches their phone. Me, my husband, my children. We say it's time for dinner, so no phones. And then she told me, when they are going to visit friends, they also only carry one phone for communication. The rest are left in the house. And that got me thinking, do we do the same? Do we have any discipline ourselves around our phones? Do we have any discipline around the phones with our children? So we would be more, maybe I thought we, being Africans, would be the ones doing that. But here it was the other way around. And that got me thinking a lot, like we Africans, like even if we go out somewhere for dinner, saizi, everybody will come with their phone. And everybody will be on their phone. Yet we are out there to have dinner together. We will not talk to each other. We will all be on our phones. We have no discipline with our phones at all, even in the house. So the children or the young adults around us are picking that up, that we cannot do without these phones. These are like a lifeline. So they do exactly what we do. So if it was about using African culture, we definitely would say, let us put them on the side. Let us do this now. This is now time for putting the phones on the side. If you ask anybody, if you leave your phone at home for one day, what do they tell you? They tell you like it was the worst day of their lives. Yet we didn't have these phones before. How did we survive? So it's about us going back to discipline ourselves in how we use these phones and how we use the social media.
The biggest joke in town nowadays is that in some houses, actually dinner time is posted on Facebook that dinner is ready, and that's the only way you can get the attention of everybody. What happened to us in terms of our Islamic values, whereby we sit down as families to eat together, to have a chat at the end of the day, to pray together and all that? Because we are losing ourselves in this modernization. Islam is like, Islam doesn't have modernization, doesn't have, like we can't say Islam goes aging, and people say culture is dynamic, it keeps changing, but Islam is not going to change. So it's us to maintain our Islamic standards, our values, teach them to our children, tell them when it's time for eating, we are all going to sit together and eat. Can we put our phones on the side? Let us sit and eat. It's time for Salah. Can we put our phones on the side? It's unfortunate that even in the mosque, you'll be praying and the people's phones are ringing. When you ask them later, they'll tell you, I forgot to switch it off. So do we really have a discipline? My problem is, what is our discipline around the phones? We don't have. Like we take them like they are just a part of us, and we don't need to discipline ourselves around them. So our values are now slowly getting eroded by the phones and the social media. And our children are actually thinking like dinner time, ni kupiga picha and post it on Facebook. Like this is what we are eating. And then after that, we now start somebody posts, I love what you guys are eating. And then somebody says, yeah, we're having this and that. And that goes on, and that is dinner time. Well, before we take a break, it has just crept into my mind that, well, here we are incriminating social media, but we used to have almost similar kind of behavior, only that the medium was different. Before, I remember that our parents would sit with the newspapers, engage themselves in the newspapers and read and not chat anybody in the family and all that. What is the difference in that even at this time, there was no communication, but things were not as bad as they are today? What is the difference here that we are not seeing? The difference is not everybody had the newspaper. Who is reading the newspaper? One person. So what do the rest of us do? We communicate with each other. If daddy is reading the newspaper, the rest of us will be playing around and talking to each other. And if it's the mother, she'll be talking to the children, engaging. At least there'll be some form of
communication. They were not a newspaper for everybody because it was only one newspaper. So the father maybe would be the one reading the newspaper. And at times he'd even talk to you about what he has read. He'd tell you there's something very interesting. I remember my father would tell me there's something very interesting in this paper, there's this, and we could even have a discussion. But now with the social media, because we are going to places we don't even want our children to know we are there, are we going to engage them in what we are doing on the social media? No.
Absolutely not. Well, we are taking a break, and tonight we are discussing hashtag Ifikie Wazazi. We are asking the question, what happened to the way we bring up our children?
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Welcome back to the show, and tonight we are on hashtag Ifikie Wazazi. What has happened to the way we bring up our children? Sister Riziki, when the hashtag came out, the first thing is Ifikie Wazazi. To me, I took it that it is an indictment onto the parents that, look, the parents, we have been exposed, we have failed. That is why someone is saying, let it reach the parents, because it seems the parents of these children who did this kind of act are nowhere. Where are we as parents? Why are we failing in our parenting?
I think parents are in a lot of denial. Most parents think their children are okay. And when their children have a problem, they'll tell you it's the company. It's not my child. My child is okay. It's the company they are keeping. So Ifikie Wazazi, I think, was to make parents wake up that this is what is happening. This is the rot that is happening within our children. And most parents, I'm sure, were still in shock and will tell you, sikuona picha ya mtoto wangu hapo. So my child is okay. So we quickly go into a denial mode, which makes us feel better, because we don't want to face the reality. The reality is that we are at a bad place. And I'll not say it's about only non-Muslims. Even we Muslims are at a bad place. When I get to have children or young adults coming in for counseling, we do ask them very deep questions. And you'll even ask, have you ever engaged in sexual activity? And they tell you yes. So these are Muslim children or young people. And you start wondering, so okay, so where are we at if this is, because most of them will tell you yes. And most of them will even have tried a substance. So those are our children. So where are we? It means that we are failing somewhere. We have failed. Either we have not instilled the values that we need to instill, or we are highly absent, or we just don't know what are our parenting roles, or we just have lost it.
In the past ages, we used to talk about our children belonging to the society.
Yes.
Now it's a case, there's a problem, and everybody's saying, please, the parents of these children, watch out your children. Why is society divorcing itself from taking responsibility of what is happening?
Because we are no longer community. We are all becoming more individualized. We keep saying the West are individual, like they are more individualistic, and we are collective. But unfortunately, I keep saying we are becoming more individualistic and less collective than they are. So if you ask people, they tell you, we Africans, we are very collective, but are we? So when you look at each family, you'll find that most families don't engage with the other family. We engage when there is a reason. Kuna matanga, there is a wedding, there is a reason for us to engage. But having the old communal kind of system, it's really been broken up a lot. There is nobody who we can look up to and say, when this happens, this person can come in and address this issue. We don't have that in our families. So what is happening is that families are just mother, father, and their children. Even an uncle cannot come and tell you, you know, I saw your son at such a place. You'll be told, mind your own business. That is my son. Mimi, I know what I am doing. So what happens is you step back. Before, if a child was seen on the street in school uniform, if I was seen on the street school uniform and I'm not in school, every adult around me would want to know, what are you doing on the street? Why are you not in school? Today, if we see them, nobody bothers. Everybody bothers about their own child. And nobody even wants to know, why is this child on the street in school uniform at school time? So it's like it's none of our business, and that is costing us. So we need to go back to our old community parenting, where every child belongs to the community. The child does not belong to you only. When the child succeeds, you succeed, the community succeeds. When the child fails, you fail, the community fails. If we get that sense, then we can start moving.
Kids usually emulate what they see from their parents, from their seniors, and from society at large. So are the kids to blame on this one because they're doing something, and we all want to ask them, where did you get to see this from? Definitely they will not answer from you, daddy, or from you, mommy, or from you, uncle, but they saw it from somewhere. Yes. Who is to blame on this one?
Let's say currently there was the Kirinyaga deputy governor's video trending, right? Now, that video was online. Did those kids see that video? Definitely. If they can see this is a governor, a deputy governor, a celeb, because I always say our politicians are our celebrities, not even the musicians, our politicians. If a politician stands out there, people will crowd immediately. So those are our celebs. They're the people we see on our screens the whole time. Then they are seeing a video of this same person in a very compromising position. And that is on social media. So what will stop this kid emulating this person who is highly placed in the society? So are we having leaders with any morals that our children can ape? And when these things happen, what do we discuss in the house? Do we ignore it? Do we talk about it? Do we say this is wrong and this should never have happened? I mean, do we just ignore it like our children didn't see it on social media?
Actually, let's stay there, exactly there. That's where I wanted to go. Because now that it has reached the parents, do we just let it slide away like it did not happen, laugh about it, make a joke about it? Or do we sit down with our families and tackle it and explain to our children the do's and the don'ts, the wrongs and the rights with the whole situation?
Like I said, behavior learned can be unlearned. So we need to sit down and talk to our children. Tell them, we have seen this, ndio imetufikia. We can say, wazazi tumefikiwa. This news has reached us and it is shocking and it is not really nice. It's something that every parent is worried. Like, could my child's photo maybe not have come out and they are part of it? So what we need is to sit down and engage with them so that we know where are they at. When we engage, we will know where our children are at, what do they think, what are their values, and then maybe there we can now start putting in the right values and explaining to them that this is not the right way to go. Having these photos on social media will come to haunt you one day, one time. Like you never erase anything that you post on social media. It will be there permanently. So we need to teach our children what are the etiquettes of using the social media. Are we giving the phones without teaching any etiquette? But now we need to have the conversation. We can't ignore it. Now it is time to have that conversation. And I think even our imams should have the conversation on the mimbar that this is what we are at. How do we save ourselves? Because ignoring it will not help us.
Sister Rukia, let's go to the mainstream media. And the mainstream media, every other time you watch on prime time, they are washed with music videos and all that. So they're giving our children something to think about. They're kind of like the ones now controlling the behavior of our children with the kind of content that they put on air. What are they guilty?
Definitely they're guilty. The media sets the agenda. Whatever we talk about is being set by the media. So what they are setting, in fact, when they are saying Ifikie, Wazazi, and they are highlighting it, it all, I think, came from them. Because when you go and watch the media programs, let's say television programs from around 4, when the kids are just from school, they put music programs. The music programs have videos which are very, very outrageous, with very naked pictures, people dancing, dirty. And our children will sit there and watch, and at that time there's no parent even to guide. So they'll watch without, maybe with a house girl who will not guide on anything, will not discuss what they're doing is wrong. So our children are already getting that as being part of life, like dressing skimpily, dancing dirty is part of our normal life. It's on our television. I mean, it's brought into the sitting room. So what is wrong with it? If we now go out there and do it, what is so wrong with it? Yet we use it in the sitting room the whole time we are seeing it. When we look at our newspapers, like let's say the Friday newspapers, there'll be the Pulse, there'll be I don't know which one, the Nairobians. All of them will have pictures of skimpily dressed women, and all of the women will be made to look like they are very pretty, they are very nice, this is the way to go, this is the new fashion. So what will make the young adult not want to be like that person they are seeing in that newspaper? When I buy that newspaper as a parent, I'll go home and put it on the table. I've read it the whole day, I'll dump it on the table. So who picks it? My youngster. So my youngster looks at all those pictures, and what are they picking out? This is the way to dress, this is the way to look, this is how you're supposed to be. And all that is in an innocent newspaper. So what are we supposed to be telling these newspapers? We need to put an agenda out there and tell them that you guys, so long as it's a newspaper, it's a family thing, it's coming to the home, it needs to be a little bit more decent. And I think from when I was growing up to now, I think the newspapers have steadily gone downstream. Like it's becoming more, even the reporting, at times the news is just nonsense. Like there'll be just stories that are dirty, stories that will make our children maybe curiosity, want to find out more on what is being put out there. So I think the media is got a big role to play in this problem that we are having at Ifikie Wazazi.
Bringing it closer home, today we are living in a world whereby there are people who are called celebrities. And these are the people who've become the beacons of society. And now everything that they do is being upped by everybody because everybody wants to be like them. In short, they're being celebrated by the entire society. Yes. As the local Muslim community, do we have our own celebrities? And who are our role models?
Yes, I think you keep quiet maybe just 1 second and think who comes into your mind as a Muslim celebrity here. Do you have one in mind? Well,
none I can think of.
We don't have, because we do not bring out our people. We have, I always say we have very celebrated lawyers who are Muslims. But is there any time where maybe we even take them to schools where we have Muslim children and show them this is somebody that we can try and emulate. This is somebody who has been from maybe a home and studied and become a very celebrated lawyer. We have so many of the Muslim celebrated lawyers, but we don't celebrate them. Come to maybe doctors. We have very celebrated doctors, but do we ever bring them out to our children? They don't even know. Even tell them, do you know a Muslim doctor? They'll tell you, I don't know. Which one? Like to them, we don't have. Do we have role models in the society? Do we ever bring them out and teach our children that why don't we try and also be like so and so? Why don't we celebrate our heroes as Muslims? I don't think we do. I think our only celebrities are the musicians, and it's unfortunate that they will still have Muslim names and still do very outrageous stuff. So our children will still think, I would like to be a musician like so and so because he's a Muslim and he's a musician and he's doing very well. DJ, I'd like to be a DJ like so and so, and they'll still be having those Muslim names. So I think our children have been seen to just see celebrities as these guys out there, and we've never ever shown them that we can have Muslim celebrities. And I even hear people talking of celebrity sheikhs, and I usually ask myself, if a sheikh can pull a crowd of 1 million people, what is so wrong? Why should we call him a celebrity sheikh? I mean, if he's talking something that is making so much sense that everybody wants to listen, why should we put and it's being used in a, how would I say, it's not being used to show that this guy is doing a good job. Mm-hmm. It's being used in like a derogatory kind of way. That's a celebrity sheikh. Mm-hmm. So why should we call him a celebrity sheikh in a bad way? Why don't we celebrate him and make our children see we can be a sheikh and be out there and do something and change the community?
Well, viewers, we are today on hashtag Ifikie Wazazi, and we are asking the question, where did we go wrong with the upbringing of our children? And we are assisted on this topic by Sister Riziki Ahmed, who is also a psychologist, a teacher, and a mother. When we come back, we will be looking at the role of the government in tackling this menace that is slowly creeping into our society.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Welcome back to the show, and tonight we are on hashtag Ifikie Wazazi, and we are asking ourselves, where did we go wrong with the upbringing of our children? Sister Riziki, today we talk about our role models not being present. And on top of that, just to fill in the vacuum, there is a new phenomena that has been introduced to us in the name of socialite. What is a socialite? Because I'm yet myself to understand who a socialite is and what their role in society is.
Socialites, these are, like most of the time, they are women who are made to look very beautiful. They'll spend a lot of money on their bodies. So they become like the image of the ideal, what an ideal woman should look like. And some people will want them to appear in their events so that they can pull crowds, and they get paid to appear in those events. They even can get paid to go for dinner with somebody just to be seen with them. So they look like this perfect human being. And our girls or our daughters will be watching and wanting to be exactly like that woman, not remembering or even forgetting that this person has spent millions just to look like that. They'll tell you, my hair is worth 2 million. I did my skin for 3 million. I've done my this for this. So they are worth millions in what they have become. So they are not an ideal human being. They're just a packaged item. So we need to tell our children that this is a packaged item. There's nothing real about this person. So it's just an image.
Well, I'm looking at the photos that had gone viral on this whole issue of Ifikie Wazazi, and I'm just trying to think, well, maybe our youth were trying to become socialites in their own way, because the trend has already been set that, I mean, if you want to get attention in society, then this is what you have to become. So they're basically doing the same thing. So should we blame them for doing exactly what we have directed them to do?
In fact, the time when that thing was trending, the Ifikie Wazazi, I spoke to a young man, and he told me, I don't know why you guys are so surprised. You can be a why. I mean, this is always on social media. I told him what? He told me, you meet somebody even in a mat, a girl, she tells you, give me your number. Are you on social media? And you say yes. Which one? Immediately she'll even remove the phone. Or Instagram, yes, okay, follow me. So when you follow her, then you see her photos. Then you find she just posts very half-naked photos to get likes. So she gets maybe like 1,000 likes in a day. Why? Because of the compromising photos she has put. So for her, that is good. It's building her mileage, and she knows I'm getting somewhere. So the more the likes, the more she propels herself. So he's telling me, I don't know why you guys are into this thing like it's new. This is not new. This is what is happening on social media.
Could that be pointing to the direction that maybe our children are not receiving enough attention from us at home? We are not giving them enough accolades. We are not appreciating what they are doing either in school or at home or socially. And now they're taken the initiative to go out themselves and seek for that attention.
Yes. One, I always say, maybe we're not even protecting our children at home. If a child doesn't feel protected at home, maybe the child has been defiled, maybe the child feels neglected, and I find a way where I can feed that need. I can get people to like me, I can get people to tell me how beautiful I look, how nice I am, and everything. And if I get 1,000 likes, if my parent talks to me or not, I don't need my parents to talk to me. I'm already doing well. I have 1,000 likes. I have 1,000 friends on Facebook. I have so many followers on Twitter. Who do I need? I'm okay. So our children, I think we have failed them one way or the other as parents. We are very absent. We don't protect them. We don't meet their emotional needs. We meet only their physical needs. Most of the time, we are only meeting their physical needs. The emotional needs, we don't meet them. We don't give our children unconditional love. I will love you only when you do very well in school. I will love you only when you look very pretty. I will love you only when you are looking more and more like this and this. So we are always having a condition. Our love is so conditioned. We don't give them unconditional love. So for me, I always advocate, give your child unconditional love. Do not put conditions on the love you're giving your child. Whether that child is pulling the tail in class or not, but you still love them, that is your child. Every child has something in them that is unique that another child will not have. Not every child will be number one in class. Not every child will be the most adorable looking and pretty kid like every other kid, but it is my child. So what should I do? I should love them without putting any condition. If my child feels protected, my child feels loved, my child has seen me putting in something in them, some form of training, and also having consequences for when that training now is not being followed, that child feels a sense of, I have people who care about me. And even when we are punishing children when they have gone wrong, they don't mind. They feel they are being guided. At times they might rebel. You might find them looking like they are really rebellious when we are trying to guide them. But every child will tell you at the end of the day, they still need that guidance. And when you talk to them, some of them will tell you, I blame my parents. Kwa nini waliniachilia? I would not be where I am if only they had guided me. So at that time you might be thinking, why is this child rebelling? But as they are rebelling, they still need the guidance because they're not mature enough to make certain decisions. They don't know if they are doing the wrong thing. So it is us, the parents, now to come back and be more present in our children's lives. And when you look at our life, the way it has become, it is like we take children to the malls, maybe on a Sunday. That's what is our pastime. When you go to the malls, what do they see? What lifestyle are they seeing? We are having all manner of people there. I'm not saying don't go to the malls, but you talk to the children that we are going to this place, we are going to see people, we are going to see people who are like this, people who are like that, people who are like this, but we are Muslims, so us, it shouldn't affect our values. We stay the way we are. And remember that we don't need to uncover ourselves to be beautiful, though you might see all that. So we discuss, and then maybe when we come back, we can even have another discussion. Yeah, so we've gone out there. What have you seen? What did you like about what you saw? What didn't you like? How does it impact on you? Do you feel it has impacted your iman in any way? You know, so, but as we go have fun and we come back and that's it. We don't even want to know what did my child pick from the mall. Did they even pick a bad word when they left?
Our social and legal custodian, the government of Kenya, what role does it have to play in such matters to make sure that we do have a morally upright society, that we do have protection of children from things that can be harmful to them, including social media and all that? And what more can the government do to ensure that we do have a conducive environment for the upbringing of our children?
I think our government has failed miserably not regulating the media, in that the media can air anything and come up with we are the media and do not gag us and everything. And then we, the people who are being led by the government, have we ever put it across to the government that we don't like this? Or we, the Muslim community, are concerned with the kind of media that we are seeing on our televisions and the newspapers? Have we ever come across and said it goes beyond our Islamic values when I'm buying, or even say we're not going to buy these newspapers as a community if you guys can't change how you package your newspapers? So the government needs to put in regulations so that we can guide these children. Two, in schools, what is in place? The government needs to come up with more guidance and counseling procedures which can help these children. If a child is getting out of hand and a teacher has noted, what next? Like we've been having issues where you find the teachers are the ones doing the guidance, they're the ones doing the counseling, they're the one doing the teaching. And we always say you cannot have a dual relationship in counseling. So we have been failing the children, because if a child looks at this teacher will teach me maths, how do I tell this teacher my parents are divorcing? there is no way that child will want. Because at the same time, you'll come back and teach him maths. So the child will keep it in. So we don't even have structures in our schools to meet our children's emotional needs. When we have disturbed children in school, we don't have anybody to take care of them. The only schools currently doing that are the high-cost schools. But the other schools, we don't have any structures in place.
But we would expect some of these roles to be played by the local religious community. And this is where we bring in the element of religion. Is our religious setup helping in mitigating against what we are being faced with right now in terms of the truant and disturbing behavior of our children, and also in terms of our parenting?
Let's start by this Friday. Which mosque on the Mimbar talked about Ifikie Wazazi?
None, absolutely.
Is that something that touched on our community?
Yes.
Was it supposed to be addressed?
Yes.
Did we address it?
No.
Why? You see, those are the questions. What is a mosque supposed to be? A mosque is supposed to be a social place. A mosque is supposed to be where we come and discuss our issues. For many years, I've always advocated, once we have a mosque, the mosque should be a social place where I can come with my children, come pray duhur, have a restaurant there, have lunch. My child can go upstairs and play basketball. My daughter can go to another room and do something, but we are within the mosque premises. And we can go home in the evening. Do we have that? No. Our mosques are locked. Most mosques are locked. You cannot come in at any time unataka. We lock them up and say you come during Swala. They're just for Swala and that's it. They are not functional to the community. So we need to have mosques that are more functional. Our imams need to be the people who are out there. I say maybe at times we give them too much work, or at times we are not helping them really, but we need to have, I always say every mosque should have a counseling center, where if I'm feeling my child is having issues, I can go there and say, I think I have an issue here. Who can help me? Can we get a professional who can come and talk to my child? Then the imam can listen and refer. And the imam can give spiritual guidance and get another professional to give the other guidance. Do we have that? We don't have. Do our imams go to schools and talk to these children and explain what are our Islamic values? Do our even children know the Islamic history? We know so long as they've gone to madrasa, they are fine. But that madrasa, for how long do they go? 2 to 4, maybe on a daily basis. That 2 to 4, they're supposed to learn the Quran, they're supposed to learn Arabic, they're supposed to learn Hadith, they're supposed to learn everything. Is it really possible to learn within that 2 hours?
Quickly, as we wind up the show, what are your comments about the Children's Welfare Act, which has now come in and it has put a lot of restrictions as to how we get to discipline the children, how we get to treat the children, what the rights of the children and all that. And most people have pointed out that this has become one of the issues that becomes a stumbling block towards proper behavior of our children.
For me, I think the act is very Islamic. Our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam never beat up any child, never. And he said they should be beaten at the age of, is it 10, when they do not do what?
When they don't pray.
Did he say when they misbehave?
No.
No. So that should be our guiding point. Are there ways we can punish our children without beating them? Definitely. When he says beat them at 10 when they do not pray, what will you have been doing all along? Training that child to pray. Without beating, training. So what we need to go back to is ask ourselves, do we train our children in behavior? Are we putting in the behavior we want and the values before we start punishing? And that is what we are being taught here. Teach this child how to pray, continue emphasizing until the age of this, then now you can punish. But us, I always ask parents, how many parents are even beating 2-year-olds? Not for not praying, for any other behavior. So that act is actually very Islamic. We need to go back and look at it. We as Muslims, we have our role model, our prophet. He has taught us how to bring up children. He never slapped a child. He never hit a child. But he was very friendly. We know about somebody like Anas, Anas bin Malik. Yes. How did he operate with him? He would send him and he would go and forget and come back, and he would not shout at him. He would tell him, so what happened? I went and I started playing and I forgot. And he tells me, okay, go back and do what I was at. Can we as parents take that? Yet we are already being taught how to bring up children by our beloved prophet. So the most important thing is to be giving them unconditional love, giving them that forgiveness, being able to be there for them, very present, listening to them, knowing what they want, and then training before we start punishing. But most of the time we are punishing before we even train.
Well, now that it was at the start, it was Ifikie Wazazi. Now that imefikia Wazazi, as a psychologist, as a teacher, as a mother, what are your closing thoughts on
My
this?
closing thoughts is that all of us, we need to go back and take our parenting roles more seriously. We need to be more present in our children's lives. We need to protect our children. And when I say protect, I'm very strong on this. There's a lot of defilement of children, and it happens under our noses in our very own homes. When a child is defiled, they lose their sense of self-worth. It's very easy for that child to remove their clothes and do anything because they don't have a sense of worth. So let us protect our children. Let us be very present. If a child is showing any signs of something is not right, let us be aware. If a child is withdrawing, find out, why is my child withdrawing? My child is quiet, why is my child quiet? My child is acting out, why is my child acting out? Don't just punish. Try and find out why this behavior. And the most important thing I want us to live with is that behavior can be learned, but it can be unlearned. So we are not so hopeless if we start at any place. We can start anytime, anywhere. Let us start putting in new behavior in our children.
Thereby, viewers, you've heard it all. Imefikia Wazazi. To all the parents, we do have a responsibility to ensure that we do participate in the affairs of our children, that we do put an effort to ensure that their upbringing is in the best of manners within the boundaries of Islam. To our children and to our youth, strive to be unique. Do not be like everybody else, but strive to be who you are. Build your unique characters, and always remember, the world will be as it is, but it is you who needs to stand out. And the only way you can stand out is not by doing absurd things, but by being of the best of morals. Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.